Last week we talked about the fundamentals of singlehood, and one of the things that we discussed was the fact that singlehood is an opportunity for you to be locked in with God. We talked about some very fundamental key things that God expects for you to have even as a single person. I want to do a bit of a pop quiz if you don't mind. For anyone who remembers, I had three things that were needed before you could move on into dating. Singlehood. Yes, Amarachi. Huh? Serve and preserve, which means that you are taking care of what God has put in your hands, which means that God gave Adam the instruction to tend and to keep the garden, which means that word tend means to serve and to keep means to preserve, which means that I don't give up after challenges come, but I serve what God has put in my hands, and I preserve it, I tend to it, I keep it, I nurture it, and it must grow in my hands. Amen. What else? There's two other things. Yes, ma'am. Yes, developing self-control. What God did in the garden was that before he even said that it's not good for this man to be alone, God said, I am giving Adam boundaries. And so he put a tree in the Garden of Eden. He said, from this tree you shall not eat. It wasn't like God was unable to take the tree out of the garden. What God was trying to teach Adam was the fact that you must be able to look at something, actually see that it looks good, and choose to say that I'm not going to eat it. I'm not going to partake in it, because you yourself in your flesh can think that something is good for you, but the fact that God says that this thing is not you're not allowed to partake in it, you must trust God with his instruction. And you must develop a level of self-control where you're able to say no to things, even when things are free. It's not everything that is free that you eat. It's not everything that's presented in front of you that you partake in. We must develop self-control and boundaries. Last thing, if not the most important. Oh man. Anyone, please. Okay. So the Amarachi. I can't hear you. Yes. So yes, that was it. So the first thing that God literally did was place him in the Garden of Eden, like his presence. He wasn't just outplaced in a random place. Like God said, Adam, I'm placing you in this Garden of Eden, which is paradise, which is the presence of God, which means that you yourself must know who you are in Christ. You must understand who God has called you, right? Before you enter into a relationship. And so we talked about these things. Thank you guys. For those of you who are kind of like, dang, what is it? Please go to our YouTube channel, thebridge.hotr. Like this is how we learn. This is how we grow. And so today we are going into the word. Do you guys have my slides up for me? Today we're going into the word. We're going to, if you guys could go to it's a red slide. I can't remember the exact slide, but it's a red slide. There is a scripture on there that we ended off at last week. And that is where we're going to pick up. Yes, thank you so much. Genesis chapter 2, verse 18. After Adam had fulfilled certain requirements, he said, God placed Adam in the presence of God in the Garden of Eden. God said, Adam, I'm giving you this garden to tend and to keep, to serve and to preserve. I am giving you things that you should be doing with your hands. You are not jobless. It's not every time, what are you doing? No, I have something that I'm doing. What are you not doing? There is something that God gave Adam to do on this earth. And then he told Adam, I also need you to understand that it's not everything that you partake of, but you must understand that there are boundaries, that I love you so much that I just won't allow you to roam anyhow with no boundaries, but I'm giving you very specific boundaries. And so Adam received boundaries from God. And then when Adam received boundaries from God, God looked at Adam working in the garden in his presence, observing the boundaries. And he said, look, Adam, it's not good for this kind of man to be alone. It's not good for this kind of man to be alone. And so I want us to read the scripture together. Genesis chapter 2, verse 18. It's on the screen. Ready, set, go. Good. I will make him a helper comparable to him. which means that after Adam had gone through the fundamentals of singlehood, God then decided that this person needed help. Because how can Adam receive help for something that he's not even doing? How can he receive help if he's not even working on anything? And so God said, this Adam, he needs help. Okay. And so this is where we introduce dating, which means that we don't date because we're lonely. We don't date because we see other people dating. We don't date because, for some of my girls, because we want a free meal. That's not why we date. We understand that we date. The biblical interpretation of dating, which is where we're going to go to today, if you guys have the very second slide, I believe, is the fact that dating is intended for marriage. Dating is the marriage interview. That's what it is. Anything outside of that, you are putting yourself in a situation that's just a distraction for you. Dating is intended for marriage. And so today we're going to have a little bit of a different setup. Once again, I want us to be extremely intentional with interacting. I saw that a few people started to ask questions. I want us to go to this QR code and begin to ask questions as you begin to think of it. Maybe even between last week and this week, you've thought of some questions. I want you to begin to ask those questions. I want you to also even kind of, if you hear something that ministers to you, I need you to take notes. This is not just for you to hear today and it goes out of your ears tomorrow, but you're going, even if you're not interested in dating anybody today, 2025 might look a little bit different. And so I need you to take this wisdom beyond today. Okay. And so today we're going to be having an interview, with a married couple. They've been married for 2 years, right? And I think that they're in the best position to talk to us about dating because they're not too far removed from it. Okay. And so I want to introduce to some of you, and to welcome or to reintroduce to others, two people that I absolutely love. They're my big brother and big sister, and I really, really adore them. And I love, and I got to see their relationship start from scratch. And we really thank God for that. I was on the sidelines. And so, I want us to welcome, Chi and Rugba. Can we please welcome them to the stage? Can we please welcome them to the stage? You both are welcome. How are you guys? Oh, please welcome. Well, until she gets here, she's not done. Yeah. You both are. Don't they look good? Love is sweet too. Okay, love is so sweet. So you both are welcome. I love you both with the love of the Lord. And I'm really happy that we get to have this conversation. Now, first, I want you both to introduce yourself. You can say like your name, and then maybe what do you do for a living? Yeah, let's do that.
Oh, wow. So, Rogba, or PF as well, also known as, but I'm a population health consultant. That is my role in the world. But in the church, I'm the church music director.
Yeah. So good. Yes.
Okay, so I'm Chi. And then I'm in the IT industry, ICHR precisely. So I manage a couple of systems in my company. I love it. I work from home, so it's great. And then in church, I'm not a pastor, but I'm not. I am in the follow-up and reception department. So I welcome new members that join the church and just check up on them, make sure they're doing okay, they're settling in. So that's, yeah.
Good stuff. We love it. Thank you guys so much. Okay, so we're going to get right into it. And please, we ask that we like tea. We like gist, okay? We do. Do we not like gist? Okay. I know my people. Okay, so how did you both meet? You could just start from the genesis of your relationship.
Oh, wow. That's going deep into the tea.
Yep.
Actually, we were fortunate enough to meet in the bridge. So we met here. I was playing the keyboard, and then I saw her in the audience. So you too can meet your loved one in the bridge.
See, promotion. This is wild. Okay.
Yeah, so that's true. We met in the bridge, and the rest is history. The Genesis?
Can we get a little bit more details? Like, did you see him when he saw you? Who saw each other? Like,
Wow, funny. So, funny enough, actually, I saw her first. Okay. And I went up to approach her. And when I went up to approach her, she kind of like brushed me off. She tells me later that she didn't hear me. Yeah. I think she wasn't interested at the time, but level changed in 5 minutes.
But I feel like we have two different versions. Like, yes, he met me first, his version, but I feel like I kind of met him first without speaking with him. And like I remember vividly, I was sitting down there, and I think he was preaching at the time. And that was when I feel like that was something that told me. So maybe if I hadn't gotten that at the time, I probably would not have been receptive. So maybe if I turned you down there, it would have continued.
Okay.
I'll also add, so I always tell people this story. So at the time, the former pastor of the bridge, the bridge was doing a Christmas party that day at the former pastor's house. And I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go. So anybody who knows me, I love football. So the Cowboys were playing that day, and I was like, man, I can't miss the Cowboys game. And so he came to me and he was like, you're not going to come, you're not going to come. I was like, I have something to do, knowing what I had to do was the Cowboys game. And then I was like, okay. He was like, well, I have something special waiting for you. There's a special gift waiting for you. Not knowing that the special gift that was waiting for me was my wife. So we actually went to his house, and that was when I got a chance to be able to like see her, and then we got a chance to chat, and then that's when action began.
Hey. So you speak of action. Yes. What does that look like from a godly man perspective? What does it look like to see like this is a potential spouse or partner, and I want to get to know them more? Like, were there steps? Did you just say, I'm just, I just got it and I just move however, and then people just are drawn to me? Like, how were you intentional?
Yes, absolutely. Be very, very intentional. Something that Pastor Kuye, so I always tell people about this. Pastor Kuye one time met with us young adults and singles. And when he met with us, he told us, hey, make sure that you find and you figure out what is important to you. Like, you have to be able to discern and know what's important to you. And we'll talk about a little bit of the stuff that was important to us. But you have to know what's important to you, because once you know what's important to you, everything else doesn't matter. If a clean home isn't important to you, when your partner leaves trash on the floor, yes, you can be upset about it and may not like it, but that's not a reason for you to be like, okay, let's end this relationship. So it's super important for you to be able to discern what is important, especially a lot of you guys being young. You have an opportunity to learn what's important to you. So like for me, what's important to me is my faith, my family, and my friends. Everything else I can compromise on, but the things that I can't compromise on is my faith, my family, and my friends. And one of the reasons that I love my wife so much is she's never asked me to compromise on those things that are super, super important to me. So in your search and your journey and you're walking through dating life, discern what's important to you and find out if that person that you're trying to build that connection with or you're dating has those key qualities and those key things that you value. Because most likely if they're telling you, like, if church is important to you and they're telling you not to go to church, maybe that's a relationship that you want to make sure that you hide from.
Right. What's important? What was important to you, Chichi?
As a woman, I was looking at the person. Yes, family. I need you to, also love my family and my friends. But I was looking at the end, the person. So I was looking at specific characters, you know, specific like anger. I was looking at someone that looking for, hey, how is this person with being angry? How does he manage being angry? How do you manage conflict? Those were my key things. Like, I don't want to get married to someone that is, or live my life with an angry person. So I was looking at that. I was also looking at kindness. And that's one thing I'm grateful to God every day. Like, my husband is one kind person. Like, you can't get it wrong in life. I was looking at someone that is kind, not just kind or like, oh, let me take your car to or change your tires, but kind to your heart. The way, he speaks to you, never yells, kindness. Like the little things I can't even begin to mention. So I was looking at that. Someone who is sensitive, like, we girls, sometimes we have our own insecurity, and sensitive to your feelings, to your thoughts. Sometimes I think upside down, inside out, and he acknowledges those feelings. I understand where you're coming from, and someone that I could trust. So trust, not necessarily meaning with now, but trust with your mind, with those deep dark thoughts sometimes that you have that you can't even go out to share with anyone. Trust with your past. So that was what I was looking for. And then I started seeing it as we started dating, his reactions, when you tell him something, the way he reacts, the way he thinks, the way he even, maybe not even make any comments and go back, thinks about it and comes back to you. So I was looking at that as a whole. And when I found it as a whole, I knew, yes, okay, I got it. And I was like, I'm not letting it go.
That's so good. That's so good. Can you talk about some of the spiritual confirmations that you believe you had? And when I say that, sometimes I don't want to over spiritualize things, but I do believe that God has a way, because somebody can look good today, but it's important to know that God, are they going to look good in 10 years? Are they going to still be the person for me in the next 10 years? And so is there anything that you felt like God said, no, this is your person?
So whenever I was thinking about proposing, I was asking God to give me a sign. And a lot of times as Christians, we pray to God and we trust God for something. And then if it doesn't come as this big, bright, flashing light telling you, marry this person, maybe we think that we're going to go and look outside and there's a plane with a banner on it that says you must marry Chi-Chi on Wednesday at 2 p.m. That's not the way God works. So I remember when I was trusting God for if I should propose or not, and I was praying. And when I tell you that dial tone, God was not answering. But I remember the moment that I knew. It was when I was with Chi-Chi, and literally we were just next to each other, and I looked at her, and I said to myself internally, there's no battle or there's nothing in this world that me and her cannot conquer together. And that was my confirmation, because something that I've always said for myself is that, and most people don't understand and don't know when it comes to love, is the person you should be looking for is someone that you're willing to go through any trial and any tribulation with. When you're happy, you want to be with that person. When you're sad, you want to be with that person. If we have 10 kids, I want to be with that person. If we have 2 kids, I want to be with that person. If I have 0 kids, that's the person I want to be with. So knowing that in your heart of heart, that, hey, when challenges come, because people think that, especially when you get married, that everything is going to be rosy. There's going to be things that get thrown at you. Today, one of you guys may have a job. The next day, somebody might not have a job. One day, y'all have 2 working cars. The next day, y'all have 0 working cars. How are you going to go through those situations together? So that was super, super important, and that's how I feel like God really discerned to me in that moment, like, hey, this is the person for you.
That's good. So good. So good. Chi-Chi, what's up? How did you know? What spiritual confirmations, or How did God like show you like, okay, this is your person?
Mine goes all the way back. At the time I met him, I had just moved from Dallas, and I was just kind of trying to like settle in and start my life here and all of that, and then how I knew was through prayers, to be honest. And I know we don't want to go like spiritual and all of that, but it was through like praying about him, because one thing I was so scared of is making a mistake with the person I end up with marriage. The qualities that I saw in him, basically, the qualities that I saw in him, I had peace through it all. We went through several challenges even while we were dating, and at the time we went through a particular challenge when sometimes it felt like the perception was people didn't see me as the right person for him. You know, like him being in the church, you know, a pastor, and I was new into the environment and trying to, you know, settle in and know people. People didn't really know who I am, my personality. But one thing that I saw that this is my person, you know, the confirmation that I got was the way he stood out for me, the way he I heard he spoke for me even when I wasn't there. And then moving in with peace, kindness, the way he treated me. And even when we were going through like different struggles and issues even in our relationship, he would hold my hand and pray with me. We'd pray together. So even in dating, yes, we pray together. And also with love and affection. Yes, we'll say let's hold off, you know, love, affection till we get to marriage. But I feel like marriage is an amplified version of dating. If he's not treating you right, so I was looking at if he was not treating me right, or if probably I was not, the things that were important to him were not important to me, or I didn't genuinely care for him, I was going to step away. So the thing was that I had to look at myself, because I feel like the best way to find the truth is to tell yourself the truth. You are the one who will tell yourself the truth. So when I look in the mirror and speak to myself, I knew that this person was, you know, the right person for me. So it was just a pretty much stage. I can't remember like a defined moment when that happened, but through like prayers and peace and actions, you know, his actions, my actions, you know, we facing little issues, big issues together, overcoming it was how I knew that, you know, this is the person for me.
That's so good. Okay.
Sorry, let me add one thing for you guys. So in Christianity, there's a word that we use a lot when we talk about our relationship with Christ, right? And that word is intimacy. Being intimate with somebody isn't just through being close with them. There's an intimacy in prayer, right? Because during the time of prayer, two parties and when you and someone else join together to pray for something, that is you sharing. What happens when we pray with God? We're sharing with God the things that we want. We're sharing with God the things that we're trusting God for. That's a form of intimacy right there. So prayer is a form of intimacy even before getting married that you should be doing together, because that's how you learn about someone. When someone is saying, hey, I'm trusting God for a new job, that is a form of intimacy with them, right? You two are agreeing that, hey, God, we want to see this thing happen. The same way when you're saying, hey, God, we want to see this relationship flourish. God will be with you in that situation, especially when you two people are in the same agreement with doing it.
Yeah, so good, so good. Okay, this is good. I hope you guys are like mindful and taking notes. I also want to add to this, because I've also seen situations where people were not actually confident that they were the one for each other, and they're praying together. So there's a level of intimacy that's being formed, and it's not even legit, right? We're not even sure that now we have a tie, but we ourselves are not even sure that we're supposed to be in the same relationship. And you know where I see it? I see it a lot with Christian relationships, because they're like, oh, we have to pray together. And it's like, no, well, you become intimate with who you pray to and who you pray with. And so the reason we can even say we are a bridge family is because we pray together. Even when you talk about even your family having evening devotion, you're praying together with your family, right? That's a level of intimacy that's being formed. And so I absolutely agree with you guys, but I also want you to know that if you've not gotten to the point where you're like, okay, if you're still playing around and then you're praying with people, you could develop a soul tie that's not supposed to be there. You know what I'm saying? So I just want us to be mindful of that. Now, here's what I want us to do. If you're in the audience and you have actually thought about this, I want to hear something that you yourself are looking for, even as you are dating, right? And it doesn't have to be perfect, right? They mentioned their own, right? If there's anybody who is bold enough to say, hey, this is something that I really, really value, I want you to raise your hand and we'll give you a mic, because I want to hear where your mind even is when it comes to the topic of what am I looking for in the other person? Anyone? Yes, Eniola.
So funny.
No, you're good. So I don't know why somebody's behind you is laughing. I'm waiting. What's up?
So I would say I'm looking for passion. I've had to see that fire and that person. You can't just be a boring person and expect someone to love you or any type of thing. You have to have some type of flame in you to keep on going.
Passion for what?
And job related, family related, anything.
Yeah,
just
ambition.
Have a type of flame for
yeah,
something.
That's so good. That's actually really important. Okay, that's good.
I'm done.
We actually share that in common, Eniola. I'm really big on that. Yeah, you have to be passionate about something. That's so good, so good. Anyone else? Anyone else?
While we're waiting,
Yeah.
I'll say to the passion thing as well. In your relationship, both of you should encourage and push each person's passions forward, right? For me, something that I'm passionate about is how I serve the church. One thing that my wife has been great as is my wife doesn't discourage me from pursuing my passion. She only encourages me in that aspect.
That's
Even
good.
in my career, we have a lot of conversations about personal career growth, even potential businesses for ourselves, and we push each other to that. So just because that person that you're with may not have something that they've identified as being passionate for, that may be something that God is calling you to do for that person. That God may be calling you to help push that person forward and to be passionate about it. Because I'll be honest with you, prior to my relationship with Chichi and us getting married and everything, I didn't really see myself as a business owner. But the majority of the conversations we have now is about potential businesses and financial growth. Because for me, prior to marriage, those things weren't super important to me. But that is an aspect of something that she's brought out of me now.
Yeah. And you really have to like the person to be patient enough to know what their passion is. So it's not just if I didn't like him enough, or if I'm not in love with him, his passion I wouldn't care.
Right.
So apart from, passion attracting each other, I think the first step also is make sure you genuinely love that person. If you genuinely love that person, then you'll be interested in anything that matters to that person. Sometimes you might not even know what our passion is. To be honest, sometimes I don't know what I like. I don't know. I'm here today, I'm there tomorrow. We'll talk about business. There was a time that I enjoyed doing all this cricket, customizing shirts and all of that. I did it for a while and I stopped. Where is my passion? I started braiding hair. So there are different things that then I went into the IT industry. Thank God I'm loving it, because at least that's consistent. But you would have to genuinely ask yourself, do I care about this person? Do I love this person? And again, like we talked about here, we're dating to get married. So if you're not seeing this person as your potential husband or your potential wife, please cut it off. Don't waste your time or waste the person's time and dragging this person through a passion that you're not going to stick around with them to stick around with them to help them flourish, or when it's going down to bring them back up. So with passion, it's good. If you are able to identify each other's passions, it could be several. That's what I think. But make sure you also genuinely love that person, so that way you guys are there for each other. You can talk through it any time of the day, any time of the week, or any time. Even if it is dead, you can also always resurrect it whenever that time comes up.
Right. So good. Thank you. That's great wisdom. Anyone else? Guys, don't be shy.
Tell us. Let's loosen up. Let's have
Please, you guys is it too cold? Do we need thank you, Chim, what's up? What are you looking for? It's like the guys know what they're looking for and the ladies are just,
One thing I'll say, looking for somebody, I probably like the way they treat people outside of me, outside of their family, just the way they go about treating everybody, equal,
right?
Not putting anybody down because of their situation and stuff like that.
That's good.
I feel like that's just an important trait in really anybody, but especially somebody I would see myself with.
That's
not
good.
putting anybody down because how they are, or looking past somebody because what they do have, or, just having that grounded mindset.
Yeah. That's so good. Thank you so much. That's very important. Character is extremely, extremely important. Like you guys mentioned. What's up?
Yeah, I would say that's a great point that you bring. Something that I learned in getting married, and so with us being Nigerian, when we were planning our marriage, if you asked me to go back and say what's the biggest lesson I learned, the biggest lesson I learned is I didn't know how much your families play a part in your marriage, how much they play a part in your wedding, right? And so you just talked about loving each other, right? And how that person treats other people. It is super, super important that that person is able to treat not only you good, but also able to treat your family and your friends well as well. One truth about me, and one of the reasons I brought up that something that was important to me is my friends. My best friend is a girl. In previous relationships, that has been an issue with women, is that they don't like it, like when your best friend is a girl. But my best friend is like more than my best friend. Like even sister isn't even a strong enough word to describe how she treats me. But when my wife came into the picture, most people would try to push people who love you away, right? But my wife didn't try to push them away. My wife embraced her as a friend, as a family. She probably talks to my best friend more than I do now.
Yeah, and I think to add to that is, let's remember that before we meet, or before you would meet your potential or your dating partner or your spouse or your wife or your husband, that individual already had a life before they met you. They had probably a whole family. They went to elementary school, middle, high, college. They've actually grown, or they're mature. They've probably been in their late 20s, early 30s, or whatever age. So they had a life before meeting you. So definitely they have relationships that they built. They have people that, would have been been with them or stood by them, with them through tough times before you came into the picture. So with him having a girl as his best friend, I know most ladies would probably frown at that, but that was the honest perspective that I was looking at, that this girl was with him before I came into the picture. So the best bet for me is to get close to her, know her, know what he saw in her, that, he calls her, oh, my best friend. But even though I know her best friends now. And I got to know her. I think she's an amazing person. She is married, she has a kid. So I call her daughter my goddaughter. So that's how close we are. And I saw she's genuine, she's clean. Also, let's all remember there are people that might actually be best friends but not good people.
Yeah.
So let's be mindful of that.
Yeah.
There's some people that will be meet that their aim is to tear you down, bring you down, make your husband see the bad in you or all of that. So let's also be mindful about that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just point that out.
Yes, so good, so good. I want to kind of rewind a little bit. So before you guys met each other, was this your first relationship? No?
No.
Okay, good. Then I'm in the right room. Okay, so I want you to think back to before you met each other. What were some red flags that you noticed from other people?
I'll tell you,
Thank
and that's
you.
what, that was the first thing that I mentioned. A man that is angry. Please, girls, stay away from people that are angry, that are quick to anger. Please stay away from them. And okay, let me take that back. Not saying that they cannot change or you can probably not work with them or get help from them. Maybe have them go for anger management classes or find out the root cause of that, anger issue. It could be childhood trauma. It could be anything. I'm not saying you cannot help them. But why I'm so particular about that as a red flag to me in previous relationship is because, see, this thing we call dating, let's take it very seriously because we think, and respectfully, especially we ladies, the way that God created us. Sorry, this mic. Am you hearing me clearly?
Can we fix the mic back there? Thank you. But we can hear you.
Okay. So, like I said, respectfully, like ladies, the way God made us, we are nurturers, we are kind, we're soft. I'm not saying all ladies, some ladies. And some men could take advantage of that and manipulate you. They could be angry today, tomorrow buy you gifts, tomorrow I'm so sorry. Literally buy you gifts and take you out, and the next days it's like a wild wind. And the reason why I say to be careful about anger in particular as a red flag is because in marriage it can be subtle, but it grows. Marriage is an amplified version of dating. If this man was angry with you like low-key during dating, trust me, in marriage it will be times 10. If he was manipulating you or maybe he hit you once, they'd be like, oh, it was a mistake. We like making excuses. And he does it once while you're dating.
Thank you.
And he does it once, while you're dating, twice while you're dating. Maybe he probably slaps you lightly or big. Trust me, when you get married, you're going to turn to a punching bag, and that could, potentially lead into death, because they could appear kind and feel remorseful or sad and apologize to you, but mistakes could happen that the day he probably pushes you, fall down and hit your head on something, and then you die, and they'll say it's a mistake, and that he moves on with his life, and then that person is dead. That's a red flag to me. Let's be careful about that. Let's stop making excuses. Outrightly, let's say what we want. Know what you don't want to see in a relationship. Make sure you know that, because if you don't know that, then you don't know what you're looking for, and when you see it, you might actually overlook it.
That's so good. I want to mention this because I know I didn't get any this is what is really important to me. Ladies, can you at least raise your hand if you I know this is important, even if you don't want to say it in the mic. Do we have it? Okay, so we have some ladies. I love it. Thank you so much. You can put your hands down. We do have some ladies who are still we're not sure. You see how confident these guys were? Okay. Oh, you raise your hand? Oh man. Can we give Bolu the mic? Yeah, the older you get, it becomes even more and more evident. What's up?
For me, I want a man that's more prayerful than I am. That's my number one criteria.
Wow. Yes.
That's great.
Yes.
I think that's great because God has blessed me with. So I pray. I feel like I'm the fire one and he's the cool one. He talks to God. He doesn't have to communicate. But I'm so glad that's really a good, character you want to have in a man that fears God. Because if he fears God, then there's some things that he cannot do to you. And I'm so grateful. This man, he fasts every week. He's fasting. So if you have that, that's really great. That's something I think that, as Christians, we should look out for in the spouse or the man, woman that we want to date.
So good, so good. Red flags, Rugba.
Yes. Something on the point of red flags. Everyone needs to understand, as long as you're attempting to grow in life and trying to move forward and advance, you are going to change, right? So the person that I am today is not the same person I was yesterday because I have new experiences from today. There's small lessons I've learned from my interactions today or things that have happened in my life today. So one of the red flags that you should be mindful of is people who come in immediately wanting to change you and wanting to make you into this image or this person, right? Because then they're trying to they're trying to get you to grow into someone you're not attempting to grow to. And just because there's a difference of perspective as far as where you want to grow and where this person wants you to grow to, because of that difference of perspective, it can cause friction in the relationship. So one red flag to definitely be mindful for is someone who's immediately trying to come in and change you. Maybe you like to wear suits. Now they want to change you into wearing regular clothes. Yes, there can be positive change when somebody comes into your life. Absolutely, can be positive change. But please be mindful of it because you don't want to lose yourself in someone. And that's what ends up happening with most relationships is people lose themselves within the relationship. One important thing that I didn't mention that was important to me, and I believe this wholeheartedly. I believe this from the core of my value. You cannot, and I beg you guys, do not marry someone who doesn't love themselves. Do not marry someone who loves themselves. Because guess what? No matter how hard you try, you can never love somebody who doesn't love themselves. Because you'll keep trying today. They don't know what they love. They don't know what they love about themselves. So it's going to be a struggle for you to figure out what it takes to love them if they haven't figured out what it takes to love themselves. So that's super, super important, and that is immediately a red flag. So if there's number one thing I can tell you to look out for when you're dating, and I know it may be hard to discern, is look for somebody who loves themselves.
Yeah, and let me quickly add to that. I like the point that you made about somebody wanting to change you. Let's remember there's a thin line between someone wanting to change you and someone wanting you to be the best version of yourself. So when you're in a relationship, truly you'd have to change for that person. In a relationship, you're giving 100%. So it's not 50-50. You're giving 100%. He's giving 100%. If you're not meeting at that point, then it's one person will get burnt out. So say you're giving the best version of yourself, like the example you used about wearing suits, or if you also want to, in terms of attraction, you also want to look good for the other person. So if you're not trying, maybe you wake up in the morning, you're not combing your hair, and you're like, hey, can you do your edges or something? Try and be that for that person. Try and be that for that person. As another thing about self-love that you mentioned, yes, it's very important for you to love yourself. Sometimes take yourself out as ladies. And I think that some things that probably some guys would get burnt out of is when you're constantly asking for that validation. And that's where, yes, we might have our own insecurity. It might be an appearance. But trust me, we all look good. But if you're constantly asking for that validation, hey, do I look good today? Do I look good today? Am I fat? Am I big today? I feel, let's take it easy with that. Truly, let's work on. There are books, there are videos out there. Let's look at ways, that would love ourselves, improve ourselves. Because if we do not, then we can't give our best to our partners.
That's so good. Can I? Oh.
Sorry, let me ask one question. I want everybody, how many people think marriage is 50-50? I want to see you raise a hand.
Oh, you're already in my questions. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, raise your hand if you think marriage is 50-50.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait,
Like y'all both give 50%.
in what sense? Like, is it money, time, emotions?
In everything, and like in general.
Oh no.
Okay. All right, good. All right. So the reason why I asked that question is because today you may need to give 10% and your partner needs to give 90%. Or one day you may need to give 90% because this person needs to give 10%. So like my wife does a lot of the cooking in the house, right? There's some days my wife doesn't want to cook. There's some days my wife doesn't want to clean. Whether I like it or not, unless I want to starve, I have to put food on the table for both of us, right? So I think that's one of those misnomers that people think. They think that, we both have to give it our all every day, right? I need to bring my 50% and the other person needs to bring their 50%. But I'm be honest with you, there's some days whereby you're going to have to stand up and stand in the gap for your wife where she can't stand up for you, right? And she will have to stand up for you where you can't stand up for yourself. It's just the way it works.
What about with rent?
So that's a good question. Money. I'm glad. I love that you brought that point up, right? So when it comes to our relationship, I'm the financial accountant, right? I'm the one who makes sure that bills get paid. But each of you guys have to look at how y'all's finances work individually to see how you can make it work together. So something that me and my wife do, and I encourage people to do, is that we each have our own account, but then we have a joint spending and a joint saving. So what we do is each time we get paid, we contribute our amount into the spending account.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I need dating.
Okay.
Oh, dating, if we had an account.
So no, I like 50-50 when it comes to dating, because
I feel
specifically
like-
we're talking about dating,
Yeah,
right?
so I think that with dating, I feel like with dating, look at your income as one. Dating, if you're dating towards marriage, you have to be careful with that because it's a thin line.
It's a thin line,
because I've seen stories where, we're dating and people even collect loans on behalf of their partner, and then they break up and one person is left with this huge liability. You have to be careful. I would say while dating, while you're getting to know each other, because that's what dating is about, have your separate, accounts. Then if you want to have a joint account together, again, it's not about consider who is making less. So for example, if somebody is making probably $100 a month and the other person is making $500 a month, and you're saying, oh, no, you bring 50, I think that's unfair. And that's why we're talking about being kind and being loving. If you genuinely love that person, you wouldn't ask the person to bring $50 from the $100 they spend. I think it's okay if your other partner, be it the man or the woman, it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters who makes more money. It
what
doesn't.
about on dates?
On dates, honestly, I don't mind paying. I've paid a couple of times.
She
I
said a
even
couple.
offer. Yes, I pay. Because I don't feel like, dating has to be that conventional that a man has to do it all. Look, we're all in this America. We're all trying to get that better life. We're all looking for that job. So if he goes on a date and doesn't have money, if you have it, pay for it. That's
Listen.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So as y'all heard, I paid for most of the day. It's okay.
I pay
She
for-
paid for like one or two. But it's okay.
She said a couple.
No. Something that helped our relationship is, so when we met each other, it was December 15, 2019. Yes, I'm good with dates. I remember our dates for us, right? But we met in December 2019, and everybody know what happened in March 2020, right? COVID happened, right? So me and my wife had only been on a couple of dates, which I paid for. But after that, we had a chance to, whereby a lot of our dates were just like us maybe going and grabbing food. and then coming back to the house to like just eat and talk. So we spent a lot of time talking and like watching TV together or watching movies together. And then out of those conversations, we were able to have a lot of like really, really great conversations. So actually, she got me started on watching a show y'all are probably familiar with called The Bachelor, right? And a lot of that is not real, right? A lot of it, you go on expensive dates that like fly you to Paris or stuff. We ain't going to Paris, but maybe once in our life, right? but for us, it was that opportunity to be intentional about having conversations about like, okay, how many kids do you want to have? What are your thoughts on Christianity? How do you want us to potentially raise our kids? Those were important conversations that came out and were invaluable, right? Those conversations were invaluable because that's how I was able to learn her mindset and to see how she processes and thinks about things. So the financial aspect of it became very, very not important because I was learning about my wife. So definitely when it comes to dating, all dates don't have to be us going to watch a movie, right? It can be you guys just sitting down and just having a conversation about like, yeah. And my wife cooked a lot too.
I cooked a lot, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll give her credit for that. But having those conversations, that is, once again, that's y'all being intimate because you're learning about that person's thought process and mindset.
Yeah. And quickly, let me add to that because I know earlier we talked about praying as, a form of intimacy, which is true, which is really good. But there are other ways that, you can get intimacy. And I'm glad that you pointed that out. Spending time together while we're dating, quality time is really key. I feel like I believe that's actually the foundation to having a successful marriage. Let's remember spending that time. Get talking. Talk about anything and everything. Drop your phones. Because, sometimes we'll be like, let's go on dates. And you go on dates and you're down looking at Twitter. Like, what's the point of you? Why are you out? Why are you together? Put your phone down, spend that time together, talk about everything. Because I believe that, while we're really enjoying our marriage right now to the glory of God, and I'm not boasting or anything, is those time and COVID, even though, it brought its own hard work, but it was a blessing to us because we didn't do a lot of going out. We'll come, we'll be home, and then we'll talk. We had time to spend together. We had time to, COVID helped us cut out the world, cut out, external factors, and we had time to, invest in ourselves, get to genuinely know each other. So that's another good form of intimacy. It doesn't really have to be physical touch or always praying, which is good, but let's, talk to each other, be vulnerable. Right. Don't care about what the other person thinks about, no judging. So, yeah.
Yeah, so good. We are completely out of time. And so if you guys could just hang tight with us for another 7 minutes, we will get you out of here. I just have one more question that I really need you to answer rapid fire. How long is too long to date?
I've seen successful relationships where people have met and dated for 30 days, right? And then within 30 days, they knew. So I don't even know if my wife wants me sharing this, but my wife actually said that she loves me very early in our relationship. Very early, she said.
Did you say it back?
It took me much more time. Simi
he was trying to leave that out.
Simi's trying to get me in trouble. No, I didn't say it super early in the relationship like my wife did. But my wife knew very, very early in the relationship that she loved me, right? And so date the person back to an earlier point that I made, right? Date the person to whereby that you can go through any problem or any issue with that person. Ask yourself today, hey, if one of us lose our job, can our relationship still stand that? If both of us are not working, can we stand it? If we don't have kids, can our relationship make it? Because at the end of the day, it's you two.
Sorry, ask yourself this tough question. If he loses his leg, would you still stay? Ask yourself. If the answer is yes,
Can you date for too long?
can you date for too long? Please, there's something we call Lord of the Rings. If you're dating for 5 years, please run out. Don't date too long. That's what I'll say, because that's when, sin, you start introducing sin into your relationship. And sometimes if you're dating too long, it may not actually lead to marriage. So I'll say when you're ready is the right time. But please don't date too long, 4 or 5 years. There are circumstances. Maybe you're still in school, in college. That's understandable, but don't take it too long when like financially you guys are ready, or you guys are ready financially or mentally, emotionally, and there's no real reason why you're waiting. Then you have to have that discussion on what you guys are actually doing.
Good. That's good. Can we please give it up for Rugba and Chi-Chi? Thank you both so much. Thank you both so much. You guys are free. Thank you both so much for being a part of our conversation today. I want to just recap for a minute and just say that out of everything that we discussed today, I think one of my biggest takeaways was to ask questions and really, really ask questions. And really, it goes back to the interview. Think about the questions that they even ask you in an interview. Even think about the questions that they ask you. For some of you who may have not even been in an interview, you've applied for something. You've had to write an essay about something, a scholarship. There's a reason they ask certain questions. There's a reason that certain questions are part of an application. It's because they want to get to know you. And so as you are dating, trying to figure out, is this God's will for me? Please ask questions and be intentional about even the questions that you're asking. And you'll discover that the more that you know yourself, the more that you are aware of, this is what I know I need with the person that God has made me. This is what I believe that God has, this is the kind of person that I need. I can honestly say that I need somebody who is neater and a bit more organized than me. We can't both be creative, abstract organization. We can't have that, right? I need somebody who's a bit neater, who is okay, this thing needs to go here. Cause me, if you come to my car, right, I'm kind of putting myself on blast, but it's just not as organized as I would like it to be. And so you're even looking for somebody that will complement you. And that's why the book of Genesis 2:18 that we just read, it said that Adam, can we go there really quick? As we close out, can we go there really quick? Genesis 2:18, it says that I will make him a helper comparable. I will make him a helper, which means that even the person that you're talking to, you're interviewing, yes, you guys should have similarities, but there should be something where you're interviewing them and you're saying, this person is I can actually help this person, and this person can also help me. Does that make sense? Are we good? Okay. Hopefully this was impactful. If you learned something today, can you just wave at me? Yeah, even 1 or 2 things. Thank you guys so much.